A little bit because, again, these guys got to get used to each other. So I got two units that have to get used to playing together and playing with each other. So today's practice was going over a lot of the little things that we've been doing and then having them play, so they can get used to each other. So, yeah, in a sense, it is kind of starting over a little bit.
So it makes the thing that you want to do even a little bit more difficult to process?
Well, I don't think it makes it more difficult because of the fact that all these guys have been here and we've been doing the same things, just trying to get better at it. But when you add different pieces, they just got to adjust to playing with different guys. So I don't think it makes it more difficult, but it is something that you have to adjust to.
Have you had to adjust and massage some egos because of the moves?
I don't massage egos. I really don't. It is what it is. And if you're 5 and 15 at that time, from a coaching standpoint, you have to make some type of changes. You just don't want it to keep going the same way. And so for me, I don't, have to go to players and talk to them. At least I don't make it a point to. Jeremy came to me and talked to me about it. I told him what I thought, and I thought he handled it extremely well, and we go from there.
Byron, what were some of the positives you saw from Ed Davis and Ronnie Price?
Well, last night I thought the first half we did a really good job defensively, and I thought the second half, as we talked to our guys today about the second half, is the fact that we just offensively wasn't clicking, and I think we let that carry over on the defensive in the second half, and it got away from us. So, obviously the message is that, if you're not clicking offensively, you still got to dig down a little bit deeper on the defensive end. So, first game I was very happy with the first half, the way we played and competed, especially those two guys, and we'll see if we can grow from there.
Byron, you mentioned the offense clicking. Offensively.
Well, again, we got to get to the point where we're moving the ball a little bit more, and our spacing still has to be better. And again, with Ed, I think offensively it'll help our spacing because he's a dive guy. He's a roll guy. Every time he sets a screen, he tries to get to the middle of the floor and get his head under the rim, and that's what we need. Then the other guys can just stay spaced out. So, I think eventually with this lineup change, it'll work out a little bit better with our spacing and our offense, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Byron, Kobe said something interesting in the post-game show. He said it's easy to compete when things are going well. But
Absolutely.
when you're losing, I want to see the guys that are still ready to compete. Is that the message to this team?
Pretty much, because, I've always been a firm believer in, you really find out the true character of a man when adversity is hitting him. And we'll see what our guys are made of. And for a lot of these guys, that's going to be a test for the rest of the year. And, at the end of the season, then we have to evaluate, what we got and who we want to bring back and go from there.
Byron, you mentioned yesterday about Carlos obviously not being happy with the situation when he thought that could actually be a good thing. It speaks to his competitiveness. Did you get a sense of him channeling that the right way?
Yeah, so far. And like I said, if he would have been happy about it, then I would have really knew something different about him. So the fact that he wasn't happy, told me that, it was something that he didn't like. He wants to be out there playing. But to me, you got to go out there and prove that on the floor in practice and in the games. It's nothing personal. With me, it's nothing personal because I like Carlos, I like Jeremy. But from a basketball standpoint, I had to make a change because I wasn't getting what I needed from that first unit. So I make changes.
You mentioned about the defensive part with him. How does he get back to being that all-star caliber player that he was?
That's a good question. I don't know. On the defensive end, he has to just do a much better job of doing the coverages that we talked about doing. I had a couple of mess-ups last night as well. So, like I told you guys before, focus is a big part of it. And we talked about our film session this morning that we have lack of focus at times. And again, we can't have those type of lapses. We're not good enough to do that.
Kobe was saying yesterday that, as far as your defensive coverages, you and Jim have really tried to simplify it, and it's still not going. I guess translating. What's your perspective of that?
Well, again, it's just that lack of focus. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
And and we've made it as simple as possible. And Jim has done a great job of trying to make it as elementary as you can make it. And when you still don't get it, then then you either make changes or we're not going to abandon the things that we're doing because we know that those things will work if we do it on a consistent basis. It's just a matter of staying focused and doing them.